everyone. I'm so happy to see so many people at this event. I'm Dr. Marguerite Ragnow. I'm the Curator of Special Collections and Rare Books in the James Ford Bell Library here at the University of Minnesota Libraries. And it is my pleasure to welcome you this evening to this celebration of the Center for International Education and its artist-in-residence, Mike Hazard. It is a great pleasure to add the archives of the Center for International Education to the University of Minnesota's archival collections. I must confess I'd never heard of it till I was invited to a meeting with Margaret and Mike saying they wanted to donate the archives. But I have learned a tremendous amount since that September day. And so I'm delighted that we've been able to add it. It should be available for public use by the end of the summer. We are also in the process of removing from hard drives and computers thousands and thousands and thousands of digital files that will also be accessible for researchers in the future. So we're hoping that this will inspire and teach future artists and photographers and filmmakers what is possible and to inspire them to go beyond what might be possible. So without further ado, I want to introduce one of the CIE board members, Margaret Hasse, who will say a few words and introduce Mike.
Well, first I want to say to Maggie, for somebody who didn't know about the CIE and Mike Hazard, you did a wonderful job on the exhibit, didn't she? With the profusion and the wittiness of it, you know, the intelligence of it, you presented all of those images. So, folks, I've been knowing Mike Hazard as a friend and then on the board for 51 years. And I had to write down what I was going to say, and then I had to boil it down, or I just go way over time. So here you are, some thoughts that I have about Mike Hazard. Mike's work has always been about people, and now we the people are turning the tables and we get to focus on the guy behind the camera, to acknowledge him and his superpowers, including creativity and integrity and good humor and love. Mike Hazard, aka Media Mike, has been called a whimsical genius by former St. Paul Mayor George Latimer. Historian and fellow CIE board member Bruce White, who's here tonight too, Bruce, referred to him as Walker Evans with a camera and James Agee with a pen in one person. Many of us feel so fortunate to know Mike as a friend, but even if you just met Mike or recently, I think you can feel a connection. Borrowing a phrase from the poet Walt Whitman, Mike Hazard contains multitudes. And he himself is a multitudinous poet, as was Whitman. One of the multitudes that he witnessed and documented over the years was Minnesota poets. Mike was on site to watch and record more poets reading and performing than anyone else in this entire state. He showed up with a camera at countless bookstores and coffee houses, theaters, galleries, even out in farmhouses in rural Minnesota. Among the many poets that Michael has featured and documented are big names like Robert Bly, Joyce Sutphen, and Eugene McCarthy, who, as you know, was both a writer and a politician. Mike's film about him is entitled, I'm Sorry I Was Right. Mike's brilliant use of social media and other distribution outlets shone a light on local writers, and it enabled our entire community to see and to know their local poets. Mike's efforts, I believe, helped spur on what's been called the Minnesota literary renaissance over this last 50 years. Although he's primarily focused on documenting writers, notably poets, he appreciates and has appreciated all members of our society. He made videos and took photographs of people when he was alone or collaborating with colleagues like school children. He made a video of the woodcut artist Charles Beck and workers at the Hmong American Farmers Association farm. Beautiful photographs. You can see it in the exhibit. Recently, he's been documenting, with their approval, those who find refuge at the Peace House in Minneapolis. His work insists that we are all worthy and beautiful. Did you know that every single day since 2015, Media Mike has posted photos and writing on various social platforms without fail? Some posts were on a theme such as 365 friends, or local color, or small wonders and big deals, and weird wood. The donation of these materials to the archives here, there were over 70 bankers' boxes, is a treasure trove for historians and researchers and writers. These materials have lives, though, outside the boxes. They can continue to be viewed and experienced in many different places. 220 of his videos continue to stream on multiple social media platforms. And the Museum of Modern Art National Gallery, the Minnesota Museum of American Art, and public libraries and individual patrons have all collected his work. On the topic of prestige, I want to name just a couple of the many grants and fellowships that Mike and the CIE have been awarded from national organizations, from our local Bush and McKnight. Also, his film Cold Mountain was Best of the Fest at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. Along with being an excellent media artist, Mike has been an entrepreneur, working within this unique model that other artists would do well, I believe, to study and make a living and a life from this model. In 1974, when Mike incorporated a nonprofit organization called the CIE, it had one paid staff member, him. And all these 50 years, the CIE has been a nonprofit that he committed to the nonprofit essence, which is to be there for the community. This has been a group never in arrears, always forward-looking and kind of shape-shifting, as Mike says. The CIE provided Mike as an individual artist a rooted entity that was like a force field around him and his work. His commitment to the nonprofit organization in turn committed him to a life of service to the community, a life of service that was a delighted life, a life full of joy, full of whimsy and elegance and intelligence. I was fortunate enough to be a board member of this nonprofit, and I can testify that every single board member that served on that board thought it was one of the best experiences they had had in the nonprofit world. We all knew and grew to love Mike even more as a person who is thoughtful, has integrity, and he's a poet by heart and by his hand. So please join me in giving a hand to Mike Hazard and welcoming him. That was beautiful.
I am happy to be here. And I am so grateful to Maggie Ragnow for the way she found physical form to represent the 50 years work of this organization and my work with it. It's brilliant and beautiful. Margaret, as she said, we've been friends for 51 years. And I love you. Yeah. And that was a wonderful introduction. So I need Dean Magraw to join me. There he is. Because I want to start with a blessing. And I have a PowerPoint, pictures, 6 very short videos, a few things to say, and getting signals?
No.
Okay, good.
You're good.
And Cannon. And then Kate Tucker will come to the podium near the end and invite public comments. We're going to try to limit them to 1 minute or shorter even. But we'll have a section, a kind of public access moment. And then I'll have one more poem to finish with. Somebody say okay.
Okay. Start the poetry.
Yeah, you can start the poetry now. Who knows what that refers to? This is what's wrong with America. Thomas McGrath, whose son is here, and he'll be carrying the mic around. Robert Blythe Thought wrote the greatest epic poem by an American in the 20th century, Letter to an Imaginary Friend. And we made a film with him called The Movie at the End of the World. It was nationally telecast thanks to Melinda Ward, who put it in the primetime window of PBS. It's the only we had 9 public TV broadcasts, but only 1 in the primetime window, and that was Tom McGrath. And he was amazing. Okay, so I've already begun, and I wanted to begin with a blessing. And Dean is going to help me out. This is a short blessing. It goes like this. Blessed with shudders of goodness and giddiness, I praise the Spirit singing in everyone and everything, everywhere we are. Blessed with shudders of goodness and giddiness, let us praise the Spirit singing in everyone and everything, everywhere we are. Now help me out and repeat phrase by phrase. Blessed with shudders of goodness.
Blessed with shudders of goodness.
And giddiness.
And giddiness.
We praise the Spirit singing.
We praise the Spirit singing.
In everyone.
In everyone.
And everything. Everywhere we are.
Everywhere we are.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Dean. Dean Magraw. So, I'm going to share what I like to think is a love story. A love story made up of many little love stories. And it's called Everything We Made is a Love Story. And it's a short history of the CIE and me from 1972 to now. And this is David Bankston, who could not be here tonight. He's one of our board members and an off-time collaborator. And this is one of his poems on sticks. And David and I made 15,605 poems on sticks with his poems and my pictures. And every section is going to be like started with a heart, okay? So a little bit about the CIE from an administrative point of view. This logo was designed by Pat Olson, who's here tonight. She is responsible for the visual appearance and the graphic design that drove the CIE for 25 years, and we still use it. And it's the CIE. We used to play with our name, and this was one of our, you could be a card-carrying agent of the CIE, and played with what it stands for. And I like to say that the center is everywhere. So international education is where you are right now. And the philosophy I catch from an 18th century naturalist named Gilbert White, who said he spent his whole life in one little parish outside of London, a neighborhood called Selborne. And after his whole life there and having all of his parishioners looking for the animals, the birds, the plants in their little parish, they kept finding new things. So he wrote, "It is in zoology as in botany. All nature is so full that that district produces the greatest variety that is the most examined." Yeah. It's actually almost seek and you shall find. It's a version of that. Okay. So the administration of the board, the only thing I would correct Margaret about is that I was a paid staff member. I was not a paid staff member. The CIE had a very unusual structure. It was a corporation with a board, and this is like David Bankston and Bruce White and Kimberly Nightingale and Bob Williams and Cheryl Dixon, and somewhere there's Margaret, and somewhere just off is Brad Beisel and also Gloria Plautz. And I was also on the board, and we really only met once a year, required by law. And we always began with a sharing of a story that would represent the year since we met. It was a variation of the Dakota tradition of winter counts. And this created a warm bond within the board that was unusual. And it was about half the board meeting was conversation, stories about our lives, and then the other half we did business. So one of the things that we did, a motion that I proposed to the board, is that we have a totem animal. And I proposed that the nighthawk, or in general, or specific, and night jars in particular, be the bird of the center. And because nighthawks, the common nighthawk, are found all over the world, I thought that this might well represent us. It's everywhere but Antarctica. And so the nighthawk is the bird of, or the totem of the CIE. We had have had economic principle. The CIE has had. It's going away, and it's hard to know what to do with these verbs. But a set of economic principles, and one was never go in the hole, and we never did. And two was avoid capital investment in space and equipment. And the Twins TV news buggy, which some of you have seen downstairs, was the first and only piece of equipment that we bought for decades. And it was used to both record and present video in a way that one person, namely me, could handle it without like a crew. And the buggy came apart, so you could put it together in the home, take it apart and put it in the car, and then go someplace. And the Twins TV news buggy, yes. Closing the administrative section, this is Will and Savannah. Will was Maggie's assistant, and Maggie let him come to my house to pack boxes with his sweetheart, Savannah. And there were, I think, 69 at the first round, but without him, we would not have gotten the boxes out of the house. And I just did want to say, without forgetting, that hi, Doug, that the gratitude that I have to the director, Chris Kiesling, the curator, Maggie Ragnow, the curator, Ann Good, who's been helping today, the graphic designer, Darren Terpstra, who created all the stuff we see downstairs, Will and Savannah in this picture, Chris and Brandon, who did the heavy lifting to take this stuff out, and the digital archivist, Lara Friedman-Shedloff, who is trying to figure out what to do with the over 40 terabytes of material that has to be reduced to something like 5 or 10. But all of these folks are an amazing team, and they are what have created this exhibit. And I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm grateful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so after administration, And you notice the heart? So see, we're moving now. It's like a heart is the marker, because everything we made is a love story. After administration, the CIE was divided in 3 parts. And this is actually what our books were like. We had income from education, from filmmaking, and from multimedia projects, which included books and other printed matter. And my education, which is where I'm going to begin this first section, began with my father and my mother. And this is my father, Patrick Hazard, talking to Roy DeCarava, legendary photographer. We went to a Phillies game. My old man was a stringer for NPR after a career as an English teacher, English professor. And he was, we got into the Philadelphia Phillies ball game and next to the dugout. And I sat down and I said, "Dad, that's Roy DeCarava." And then that was the last part I had in the conversation. And I love my dad. It was his idea to start the Center for International Education. When I was big enough to carry equipment, he had me come out of school, carry equipment to help him on film shoots. He also claims as a revenge on America was bringing Monty Python to the US, and that is a true story. Yeah, it's a true story. My mother is Mary Hazard, who passed away a couple of years ago now. Is a scholar of the Renaissance, was a scholar of the Renaissance, and she showed me that everything we make, everything human beings make, communicates. And her life work is a book called Elizabethan Silent Language, and it's brilliant. And she raised me to do what I'm told, and to answer calls when they come. So, what are we doing? Moving on to another section. And this is a little love story for an organization called Compass. Without Compass, I could not have been an independent teaching artist. But in 1979, Compass got a grant from the CETA program, federal, which was just like the WPA. And I was hired for a year to be an artist in residence in St. Anthony Park. And I like to say that I was spoiled for life because I was an artist who got paid every 2 weeks. And never again. That year was a year when I took a lot of black and white pictures. I made a box of 100 pictures at the end of that year, by the end of that year, of life in St. Anthony Park. That was Nick the Barber. And then I was beginning to make videos and learn how to make videos. And I fell into a project to make a video with Robert Bly, which we filmed in Muskego Church, which is in St. Anthony Park. And the project was completed that year with a documentary portrait of Robert Bly. And it's called A Man Writes to a Part of Himself. And yeah, this is Greg Pratt. And Greg Pratt is who taught me how to be a filmmaker. He came to me after seeing a little bit of Robert Bly on my first film, which was made with Ron McCoy, who I think is in here somewhere. Yes, sir. And Greg said, let's make a film about him. And I wrote a little thing about him. It's called The Dream Made Us All Dream Large. Once upon a time, Greg Pratt saw Robert Bly on public TV in my first video, a sampler of Minnesota poets. Pratt was so blown away, he sought me out to seek Bly out to make a full-blown documentary. We did, really, he did. I watched, I listened, I learned. Greg immersed himself in the poet's poetry. The night before we filmed Robert at his farm in Madison, Minnesota, we stayed at a motel. A no-budget, independent production. Greg and I slept in the same bed. In the morning, Greg told our cohort, Paul Burtness and me, his dream. Robert was teaching us about sharing dreams. The poet had placed a tall stack of books on the TV director's chest and pressed it into his heart. the dream made us all dream large. Yeah, that was Greg Pratt. Okay, so I learned how to make things, and I was learning how to share them. And it happens that the only way most artists can make a living in America is by teaching, as well as, and I worked as a teaching artist. And I began to do workshops. I've left out a big chunk of my life, but obviously there's not enough time for all of this stuff here. But this is a class with David Bankston again. You see the hearts, all these hearts. And we taught video making with Mighty, the Minnesota Institute for Talented Youth. And we made videos. And I also worked through the center with Mighty Compass in Progress, a great local, hi Ken, I thought you were in Guatemala. Okay, pinch me. Okay, so David, every one of these stories keeps going on. And I can already see Maggie saying, come on, Mike, move it. I love you, Maggie, I do. I'm gonna show you one short film. David Bankston found money for me to go to Long Prairie Gray Eagle High School every year for 10 years to make a video of one of his poems with, that was my granddaughter, Mary. Talk about somebody telling me to move more quickly. David found a way to bring me to his school, and we made 10 video poems, and we're gonna watch one of them. It's about 3 minutes long, and it's called What He Should Learn from His Dream.
What he should learn from his dream. What kind of a banquet is this? Some of the cooks are in the kitchen preparing in advance a few of the dishes they think will be ordered. One cook stands off to the side, uncomfortably waiting. Outside, a few people in crisp white uniforms carrying clipboards and Bic pens ask those who happen to walk by what they might order if they had the chance to order. Just to give an answer, they say, pork chops. The people in white uniforms run to the kitchen with many orders for pork chops. Even cooks who have never made pork chops are put into service making pork chops. They all want pork chops, they're told. Pork chops. What about the fish? Asks the uncomfortable cook. I have a good recipe for fish. I have been preparing fish for many years. No fish, say those with clipboards. We'll need pork chops. Plenty of pork chops. But when the guests arrive and ask for one of our specialties, surely you'll suggest the fish, the uncomfortable cook says to those in white uniforms. No, they want only pork chops. But I'm best at fish. I thought that was why I am here. Oh no, we're not really interested in your fish. You're here to give them what they want, and today they want pork chops. But if no one tastes my fish, how will anyone know how delicious it is? Here's our advice to you, they say. Let the fish go. Just let it go. But you never warn me that the fish I have prepared for years might not be on the menu again. Let it go, they say to him. Just let it go.
Thank you. David's amazing, and his teaching was amazing, and I really learned from him how to teach. And it was actually pretty simple, but simple lessons are hard to learn. And that is that human beings, it's monkey see, monkey do. And we learn very well by models, and David provided that. So, worked with all ages. I do remember this Hillcrest school where I always had questions at the end, and one kid said, "How old are you?" And I said, "Well, how old do you think I am?" He said, "Oh, 104." But we worked all over Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, North Carolina, all ages from preschool to seniors, and made a great film, The Magic Green School Bus, about Paul Wellstone. And then there was also some mentoring and protege kind of behavior things, action going on. And Kauchua, this is your cue. Please give a warm welcome to Kauchua View.
Hi, everyone. Oh, okay, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kauchua Vu, and it's interesting to be welcome back here, and it's a privilege to be speaking up here for my friend Mike. I actually haven't been back to this building for 15 years. I used to intern here as a student going to the U of M, so it's nice to be back, and thank you for being here and celebrating Mike's retirement. I just wanted to share a little bit of my introduction and my relationship with Mike over the last 20 years that I've known Mike. I was just 16 years old at that time, and it was with In Progress, a nonprofit media arts organization based out in downtown St. Paul. And this was when Mike was still living in the loft studios, and we would have our art crawls twice a year. I was a young, aspiring documentary filmmaker, and I wanted to capture and preserve Hmong history and culture. And I was just trying to learn the ropes and look to Mike as a friend, as a mentor, to review my work and give me feedback. But something I really want to highlight about Mike and my relationship was the way it was like aspiring as well as touching. But what was so unique about Mike was that he understood the heart of who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go, and the stories I wanted to tell through my cultural lens, as well as in a male-dominated field within filmmaking itself. I didn't always feel respected for my vision or my voice, but it was so important to me to have a male figure, such as Mike, to encourage me to be authentic and to trust my vision and to expand bigger, never to shrink smaller than what my heart really wanted to be and exist in this world. Sometimes when I lacked the courage or confidence, he actually pulled out the voice that had always been inside me. And I think that is a gift of Mike that I really I've just held close to me, and it was just something special between him and me, and no mentors of mine. And I think that's what mentorship is about, and it inspired me to also want to be a great mentor to young people. And a true mentor doesn't need to talk to you every single day to change your life. It was in those small moments. When I was 16, it wasn't always every year that we've connected, but it was in the most crucial moments that mattered. And Mike truly still understood me throughout all these years. And for a long time, I carried an insecurity about how I communicated. I struggled to speak eloquently or articulate my thoughts succinctly, and I felt like my words were too clunky or it was too clunky to match who I really was and what my heart really wanted to express. But the beautiful thing about Mike was just how he just saw me, and he made me see the absolute value in exactly how I am. And he broke down those limiting beliefs that told me I wasn't good enough. The last project that we had worked on together was when he reviewed my mom's memoir. This was just last year when I had asked him to be a beta reader, and no one else was willing to do that. But it's one of the proudest and biggest projects of my life to date. And when he read it, he told me, it engages, informs, and touches my heart. Many of the stories within the big story stun and stir. And it wasn't an easy read because I'm not an experienced writer. But instead of judging it, Mike did what a great mentor does. He connected me with an editor friend of his, and he helped me pause to explore new avenues I hadn't thought of. And he was always working to bring out the best in me. So I just want to thank him for always seeing that and for being one of the few mentors I could completely trust. And through that, I was able to pause and submit my manuscript to a publisher, and in October it will be published. So, I just want to lastly say he made me feel seen for my true value and for the work I will continue to put out into the world. And he is a true pillar in our community, and Mike is just one of a kind. So thank you.
Here's another heart. Here's a project that we did with George Stoney. And we're going to watch a short, it's 2 minutes, but we're going to figure out really what we'll do from here. But this is a little short piece from an hour-long film about propaganda.
Last fall, in the session of documentary tradition devoted to propaganda, I showed a half-hour film about organ donation. A remarkable film. It was 3 parts, 3 10-minute commercials.
I was driving along yesterday and I saw some children playing in the playground, and it made me think about the fact that one of the first lessons we teach our children is to share. And I think that's very valuable when you look at organ donation. It's because that's the ultimate sharing your life, sharing your person with someone else.
Propaganda, spreading the faith, and with the hope that some results will come. I had a daughter who died at 42, and somebody now has her heart, somebody else has her eyes, somebody has her kidneys. I can't tell you what that means. Well, we have the organ donation pamphlets here. Judy, you want to explain how they handle this? And of course, the immediate response is, that's not propaganda. But I passed out organ donation cards, told them about Cashel, and I got most of the class to sign up. I said, that's the way media ought to be used. Combination of testimonial, personal intervention, and viewing.
George Stoney. Films. film's called Happy Collaborator. This was a short we made on the Year of Reconciliation called Foreign Film, and it's 30 seconds.
Dakota wa chipi makato ed kiwita apikte. Dakota o kichi ki he uwoki ksue ki hena yi oni hapikte. De oma kahe o kichi chie wichaya pika hapi. Hechiro was ini chopi. Ampetu itopa o yuksapi wi wiaupi yake shakoi. Ampetu aka wiaupi iwikchem na he hayakte. Makato woki ksue makoche hetukte. Hedwa chia kapikte.
This was 1986, the Year of Reconciliation, and the powwow, Land of Memories, is the third weekend in September. And that year that played on a bunch of stations. We're going to watch a short clip of Roy McBride, and then Lacinia will come up and speak. Here we go.
My grandfather, who could neither read nor write, wore a pen and pencil set in the pocket of his Sunday coat. One night when I was in 4th grade, he watched me do my homework, rocking in his chair by the stove. Son, he said with a smile, you've really got a nice hand. A real nice hand.
Okay. International Love Poem, Postcard to the World. Those are the words Media Mike chose for the subtitle of his last YouTube video he uploaded. The CIE showed me that where we choose to point a camera is already a kind of love poem. Thanks for including me in this celebration. My name is Lacey McBride, and the CIE is my favorite. I met Media Mike shortly after I was born. He was friends with my parents. I thought he was cool, and I wanted to be like him. I still do. I was what many call a quiet observer type, so cameras became a place I could stand. Before I understood filmmaking, I understood watching. I learned that attention is generous, that spending time with a person, with a question, with a place, changes the way you see it. Cameras became a way of looking for the heart of things. Mike made a movie about my dad. He handed me a camera and let me help. I still remember seeing my dad through that lens. Mike later taught a class at the Walker Art Center in filmmaking, and I learned new ways to play. Most recently, I helped Mike edit a piece, 50 years in the making. 50 years is a long time to stay with another person's questions. That's a love poem. The beautiful thing about a film is that it keeps meeting people long after it's made. Over the last 20 years, people have been writing back with their own love poems and comments on Mike's YouTube channel. This is a poem of those comments. Powerful words by a powerful voice. Back again, I wish I could thumbs up 1,000 times. There's a lovely humanity in your work. Watching this tonight on the big screen, Judith. Nice poem, bro. How lucky are we to have experienced his work? I didn't want this to end.
Mom, listen to Andersen, who saved my life, and I'm forever grateful. Yeah. Jim Northrup was the subject of another film, With Reservations. We're not going to watch a film clip of that tonight because we just don't have time. But Dean, could you come on up so we could do a poem about Jim? Mike Rivard is here today. He was the director, camera, and editor of this particular project, and it's beautiful. Check it out. So this poem, which is a documentary poem, a way of saying this is true, came out of that experience of filming these Vietnam vets on Veterans Day by the wall in Washington, D.C. And it's called Walking Point. These Vietnam vets reunite every year on Veterans Day like grim pilgrims. The ritual is righteous. Meet at Blackie's to eat a blackened steak. Jim, Fuzzy, Raymond, and Vernon toast survival, then march to the wall in the dark. Smoke pot, talk, drink beer and whiskey, fight off crisp flashbacks of human skin on fire, the odor of singed hair. Then get really stoned until you black out and fall down, immortally wounded. Get up like a mortal Marine. Notice your ghost patrolling in the wall's mirror. Run and grab a cab to Arlington Cemetery. Find a new grave in the black earth. Wonder why you're still walking point at this total eclipse of war and peace. Lay yourself out in a black hole, the latest in the line of white stones. Look up through the veins of a tree. Hear the taps of the bugler. Close your eyes and sense the darkness inside a body bag. Open your eyes, smell the fall air. Payback is a motherfucker forever. So walk past the wall. The farther you walk, the farther it is to your grave. We made a movie, thank you so much. We made a movie with Gene McCarthy, and he got really sick. This was a 6-year project. He got really sick, and I wrote this poem as a kind of conjure poem to try to bring him back. And it was a list of things that we hadn't done yet that we wanted to do for this film. It's called We Were Gonna Smash the Ball. You ready, Dean?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. We were gonna smash the ball. We were going to smash the ball past those who bought the park. We were going to listen to you play Mozart on the clarinet. We were going to hunker down by the Vietnam Wall and feel the pierced heart of America. We were going to remind the country about the tear gas in Chicago and how it still makes people cry. We were going to climb the steps of the Capitol and talk sense about democracy. We were going to talk about Saint Sebastian and private devotions. We were going to keep death daily before our eyes. We were going to recite Yeats until we all fell asleep and give a nod to Seamus Heaney while we were at it. We were going to change the world. And we still might. We were gonna smash the ball past those who bought the park. Thank you. Thank you. So we've mentioned Tom McGrath. His son is here, Tomasito, when we were making the film. Tom McGrath, a good friend. George Stoney said the reason he made films was to make friends. And that has certainly proved true in my life. And this is a little poem story called The White Bird Flew. And it's about making the film with Tom. It goes like this. The poet Thomas McGrath died on September 19, 1990. Tom was suffering at the end. I got to know Tom making a documentary about his life, the movie At the End of the World. When the film wrapped, I stepped outside of the TV station. A multitude of birds greeted me, and these words wrote themselves. It's a poem called The Birds of Paradise. Weird. Weird birds are everywhere. Birds with no names known to this bird-brained egghead who gets by faking bird calls. One bird I don't know the name of seems to be asking me a question. I imitate it back and forth. Like electricity, we buzz and pause. When so clear an eye cocks at me, I fancy I see an owl of Shangri-La, a cardinal of Eden, a canary of Nirvana, and a crow of Utopia. A bluebird of happiness perches on the crown of the blue star Kachina. In a flight of free fancy, I glide like the ringneck pheasant. I stick my neck out like a trumpeter swan. I keen like an eagle. I flock with all the birds of this whole flocking world. I fancy we want to look and see right into each other's eyes and learn by heart all the sacred songs of the birds of paradise. Thank you. Thank you. When Marianne Grossman, a living cultural treasure who writes about writers for the local paper, called for my thoughts about our poet who had just died, and was in fact the first to break the news to me, a strange thing happened. A white bird flew out of my mouth. A line from Tom's poem, Gone Away Blues, came to mind. Sweet old curly scientist wiring the birds for song. I saw a white bird fly out of my mouth. I knew Tom flew. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to talk about paper movies now. This is like the third part of the CIE. Paper movies, books, printed matter, photo commissions, and this is a spread from a book called Bring Back the Snakes, which is about my Irish ancestry. And I brought a copy of it to show Pat Coleman, who is now the president of the Ampersand Club, so he's not here tonight, and I wished he was, because they're meeting tonight. But I brought this book to show him because he's like an Irish freak about Irish things. And he's showing a spread with Anne Regan, who was, I think, the Irish Queen of the Year for this, in the parade for this particular picture. And Pat liked it so much, he thought I had given it to him. And so, when I was leaving, I said, Pat, can I have my book back, please? He goes, oh, okay. And then I made a copy for him. And yeah, Pat, I love him. Gary Hallman, these are all looking at paper movies. Bruce White was quoted a little earlier, one of my board members, a great good friend. George Slade was the first person to give me a solo show in Minneapolis at the Minnesota Center for Photography. And this is a person who deserves a robust round of applause. This is Mary Devine, who wrote the article in the St. Paul paper and is here tonight. There she is. Wow. I sent probably the longest pitch I've ever sent anyone for a story, because it's breaking all the rules. But I said, Dear Mary, all of these reporters have written feature stories about projects, but no one in 50 years has ever written the story of the CIE. And she took on the challenge. We spent 3 hours together at Yellowbird Cafe, and then we went to a play together. Joe Turner's Come and Gone, and we talked on the phone. We emailed back and forth. She made sure everything was right, and I think it's the longest story that the Pioneer Press has ever published. And not only that, but it's a front page, page one. We're not talking Variety or, page one above the folds is my head, just kind of right up there. And a beautiful photograph by John Otey, who it's not just looking at stuff that Maggie had put together so well, but there's light flashing on my head, which is like, how else would a photographer want to be seen than having like lightning in their, okay, so Mary, yes, thank you. Okay, signs of life, there's a case of them in the exhibit, a couple signs of life. Kat at Peace House said to herself, while doing dinner prep at Peace House, a homeless shelter in Minneapolis, that Michael liked this heart-shaped potato. And of course, I love it. And I did have spent 25 years, over the past 25 years, I've made films at Peace House, and I've done a lot of photography. And I love the place. It's been a church to me, and I always feel good about going. And it's a lesson I have to keep learning, that you feel good about doing good. It's almost too simple. But, this is James, Tony, and Jeanette getting a haircut. And Ellie and Shane, Shane is braiding Ellie. I was allowed kind of intimate connections with folks at Peace House. And it's an amazing place. Another heart. This is the project made with Hasse. Kristen Mockham is here. Where's her hand to wave? Somewhere. She saw some public posting on Facebook of my pictures of the Hmong American Farmers Association farm, and invited me to do a show at the Minnesota Museum of American Art. And it was wonderful, a wonderful experience with a video, a book, and 36 frame pictures on the wall. A book designed by Mark Odegaard, and if we had another hour or two, I would read it. This is Mason Hang. Did you show up today, Mason? Kids. Okay. Hearts, we're on to another subject. This is media. You see the heart and the face, right? So my name is Mike, and I'm a pareidoiliac. And I just see things. This is a beautiful design that Patricia Olson did for an art book back in 1992. And the mission of Media Mike's Mass Museum is to photograph every face on Earth and all the found faces as well. And so it's a project that's unfinished, kind of like this talk. But I can't get into, who these people are. But masks reveal and conceal. And the Mass Museum is one of the entertainments of the civilized culture. Smiles, tragedy, human comedy as well as tragedy. Then there's Media Mike's Mass Museum, and this is menagerie, sorry. And this is animals, and again, any animal, found animals, This is called Elephantum. Yeah, so the menagerie is like the zoo. So you have a museum, a zoo, and then the last is the garden. And the garden is it honors the tree of life. And again, found heart, right? And the oak right across the street from my house. And what's this? It's a swan, and this is my swan song. And this is also a avocado leaf in Anne's backyard, which suddenly just was there. And it could be in the menagerie, weird wood, because it's a leaf. It could be in the Birds of Paradise. It could be in Weird Wood. It could be in Adventures with Anne. In other words, all of the pictures I've made can be used to tell new stories in different forms. And this brings us to another section. So at this section, Kate, where's Kate? Kate was going to lead people to make 1-minute comments, but we don't have time. And so I'm sorry that we started late because there's so goddamn many of you that we're hopeless. All of us, we're hopeless. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're not quite done, but we're close. Dean, you want to come back for one more? So this is Ann Cannon. Ann, wave, please. Yeah. Ann and I, as many of you know, were high school sweethearts in 1967-68 at the American School in London. And we had no contact from 1968. We never broke up, but we never had any contact until 10 years ago. Ann found me on Facebook and messaged me on New Year's Eve and said, "I'm sorry for the way I treated you in 1968. And I typed back, this is Facebook message.
I was 15.
I have no memory of this whatsoever. Life is good. What have you been up to? And we traded, again, by typing our life stories. I was about to marry Tressa, and she wished me well. And we were Facebook friends, so then she could watch our lives, I could watch her life, as it unfolded over the next 8 years. And she saw Tressa became ill and passed away, and recommended that we go to that if I went to our high school reunion, it might be healing. And the very short version, the Maggie Ragnow version, the short cut is it has been healing. And I'm moving to Pasadena in the fall when we finish building a studio called Studio Mike, or the doghouse. And so I can continue to make some work, and I intend to focus on paper movies. I have an unfinished film about Louis Sullivan, which I will not, I've given up on making a film, but I am going to make a paper movie about what I learned from Louis Sullivan. We just went there last week. It's magic. All of his buildings are magic. And I'm also going to be, this is what I'm going to be doing, right? This is also going to be like a time when I,
Uncle Mike.
Papa Mike. Tickle, tickle, tickle. The screaming baby a little while ago, that was my granddaughter Mary. Okay, so one more poem, this is the end, and this is a poem called Hailing Mary. And
Hi, Mike.
Dean?
yours.
What? Oh, I thought maybe
Do
you
I
would have-
appear incapable of remembering Dean's name?
I thought you
Just
might
because he doesn't have a name tag?
I
Okay.
got a name tag right here.
Dean and I have been having a thing about forgetting, and this is good. It's a part of a short history of memory, which is another CIE project. The shortest version of a short history of memory in one ear. Okay. This is one last. Mary, just in time. This is a poem for Mary, and it's called Hailing Mary. Are you ready? Yes. Hailing Mary. I cradled baby Mary in my left arm for 3 days before I looked into her eyes long enough to see my grandparents and my grandparents' parents and my grandparents' parents' parents. It was a deep dive into humanity, a vision of birthing on the earth. I was pulled back into the present, shuddering with goodness and giddiness to have a live granddaughter joining me in this poem. Then zoomed into the future, my grandchild as a parent, her children as parents, their children's children, and children's children's children as parents, myself as a great and greater parent and grandparent. I cradled the past, present, and future in my left arm. With a bottle in my right, Mary suckled. Hailing Mary, I whispered, "Pig out, piglet, squirm worm, fidget widget, piss, 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 papoose, drool fool, burp twerp, smile child, love dove." Hailing Mary, I prayed, "Blessed be the BMing and wee-weeing baby. Blessed be the beaming mommy and daddy. Blessed be all our relatives. Blessed be a grandfather, yours truly. Blessed be the great we that is the human family. Blessed be the great we that is the human family."